Hello folks, this is Maggie Shayne's Twilight Hunger. And if you can't glean from the title, it's about vampires. And it actually has some things in common to me with The Dark Shadows, that movie. I think it's a decent book. I'm not crazy about vampire stories. This is one of about a dozen books I got from that Albany book sale. There's some twists and turns. I generally thought it was a worthwhile read. It's copyright about 2002. And I thought I'd talk a little as a segue about some of the modern writing in novels. Again, it changes perspective several times. I guess I'm kind of old school. I like one or maybe two perspectives. The protagonist and maybe the antagonist a little bit to give you more to the story. In an old writing course I had, the month I got my bachelor's degree, it was supposed to be a good thing to have a lot of different perspectives. I find it kind of distracting when you get to 3 or 4 or 5, sometimes different perspectives. But that seems to be the trend now in the modern writing of novels. I'm not a very good writer because I write highly technical, so what I write isn't much fun to read. But continuing with that segue, there's some other changes. That evil and good kind of seem to be kind of random what happens at the end of the story. I think a good example of it is the Stephen King books, which it's annoying they seem to be very random. If something comes out negative, it usually is a negative ending. I don't think I'm going to review a James Michener book, Caravans. It's a little bit too old history, old political correct. That was the old book I picked up at that book sale. You might have some near you. It's nearly 40 miles from me, but paperbacks are 50 cents. And they tend to be in pretty good shape. You can see this is used but not careworn. I know I'm not looking that great sitting here. I attempted to shovel the snow this morning. There wasn't much, an inch and a half. This is March 16th. Down here it should be mid-50s. It's supposed to be that this week. But I'm not holding my breath about having other cold spells. This is one of the hardest winters for me in terms of the trouble it caused. I had some difficulties last spring, and then, 07, 08, with the power out 8 days. That was maybe the worst because it was so life-threatening, the whole situation, with well over maybe an inch and a half of ice on trees. And so many trees and branches were knocked down. And there was very little help to be had anywhere in that situation. In 7.5, 8 days, power was out right here. Not in the little town. Little town, it was at least a few days less, but that made a big difference. But this winter was also very difficult on the house. It's difficult on everything, Animals, plants, houses, cars, people, energy bills. And I'm segueing again. The CNBC, the clown channel, talked about how we're going to divert natural gas to Europe because we want to meddle with the Ukraine and cause Russia possibly to shut off the natural gas to the European community. I thought I just heard where people had to pay $5 in a lot of states for LNG and stuff. Triple. They had to pay triple And on top of that, it was such a cold winter. People talked about using twice as much energy to heat, even more than that. I can believe that. So we're worried about meddling in the Ukraine. I don't even know why, except to weaken Russia by the clowns that run our country. And it's a little disconcerting of the things I'm hearing. I listen to these alternative radio channels, I tell you people, but I really don't have a good source anymore. They've just gone off the wall, a lot of them. I know I'm looking around sometimes. I never read from anything other than the title of a book or look at the copyright or something. I just don't know where I go from here. You Now is pretty much done, as I've said. It's just you take away. It's like the United States, the whole thing. You work for something, you gain it, then they take it away for no reason. If you're going along, you're just average. You don't get bothered usually, but you try to succeed or make a change, and you're clobbered. I mean, with this ridiculous Obamacare. Let me make a comment on that, because I'm talking about other things. Maybe 50 million were uninsured in the U.S. as of late last year. I'm hearing numbers that 4 million signed up, but that only 8% did not have health insurance as of previous months. In other words, up to 92% of the so-called 4 million enrollees had been kicked out of their old insurance, and that leaves 8%. And then that number is further diminished. Well, I might get into all this another time because it's complicated, and I do have a lot of things to think about. And I'm going to say have a good week, and until the next time.